Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Okay. This is Eugene Irvin. Today is January 21st, 2019, and I want to talk to you guys about, of course, why I am actually incarcerated and some of the circumstances that have led to that and what's actually going on with my case and so on. I think it's important to kind of set the tone with some of the things that have gone on in Collin County, which is the county which I am currently incarcerated, where my cases do stem from. And to begin that, anybody who's interested into looking into this could simply go to a search bar and type in Collin County corruption right there at the top, and you're going to see some very key things come to light right there initially. And undoubtedly, you'll see a case with Ken Paxton, who is the top prosecutor in the state of Texas, just basically right below the governor, essentially, in many ways, in the way that he acts in a political sense. And he had his case transferred here, and the DA, Greg Willis, who was just reelected here in November, had to recuse himself of the case because he's actually a business partner of Ken Paxton and a friend of Ken Paxton. And, you know, Ken Paxton has, I think it's 3 or 4 felony indictments out of, I think it's Tarrant County, for some things that he was working on with actually Greg Willis, the DA of this county. And what's interesting about that, in my own personal situation, is with my most recent arrest, that being arrest number 4 here for the same charges here in Collin County of myself here, they initially appointed me an attorney out of the district attorney's office that then had to recuse himself on my case because the fact that I did give him a video that does talk about the child sex abuse and the things that have gone on here in Collin County with the judicial system. And so that's interesting to kind of show a parallel there. And then, of course, we do have the case of Suzanne Wooten. And what's interesting about this, for anybody to know about the political scene here in Collin County, is that this group of judges essentially targeted another judge, and she was an acting judge after being elected and knocking out an incumbent Republican male judge here in Collin County. And she went through, they targeted her in such a fashion that after the 6th grand jury proceeding, they finally indicted her. This means that they had to go through 5 previous grand jury proceedings in which the grand jury said, you know what, there's not enough evidence here. We're not going to charge her. This case is basically BS. We're going to throw it out. The 6th one, they finally indicted her. Long story short, she went to trial, lost at trial, and then did what's called a writ of habeas corpus. She had a constitutional defect on her case, and it was essentially a malicious prosecution by the DA's office at that time, which is a different DA than who's currently acting here now today in Collin County. And she had that decision overturned, and she is currently and will always be on the National Register of Exonerations due to the fact that she had her decision overturned. She was cleared of any wrongdoing after being targeted by a group of judges here in Collin County. So that kind of gives you an idea of how things operate out here. Of course, this is the 2nd richest county in the state of Texas, and that makes it a very fierce political battleground. You have a lot of different defense contractors and transnational corporations here, which initially led to my investigation into some things here which caused me a lot of problems with the judicial system here in Collin County. And so to get into my cases of what I'm doing here, I have currently been rearrested. I was on probation for the charge of evading arrest, and they put an ankle monitor on me, which there's no victim of my crime. That was kind of a stretch for them to have done that. I initially signed a deal to basically get out of jail because I had been here for 6 months, kind of investigating things here while I was here as well. And we had an issue with them putting a social media ban on me. And so I was out on probation, and I put up different videos on YouTube and on Facebook about certain elements of the corruption within Collin County itself, including, but not exclusive to, a very sensitive story that does come out of the judicial system here with Judge Raleigh. That's Raleeh. Judge Raleigh, his son was convicted of continuous sexual abuse on a minor, and his daughter's friends and associates in high school put up her Backpage ad on Facebook because she was a prostitute and has continued to be involved in drug running, counterfeiting, and prostitution. Anybody can go and see that video by typing in Collin County Judicial Child Sex Abuse on YouTube. And we're going to put these links in a playlist for you guys down in the description of this video, because it's so important for people to understand what's going on. Because I had reached out to Greg Willis, the acting district attorney in Collin County, innumerable times, which we've all recorded this in different formats. We've done audio, I've left him voicemails, I had approached him on social media and emails. All of this information is already made public, in which I'm asking for his help, saying, hey, we've got a problem here. Somebody gave me a tip about this judge basically, being involved in child sex abuse and so on for over the years, and I'm concerned about this. And they shunned me away. They violated my probation, and they began to, again, maliciously prosecute me on this case as a result of trying to in the county itself. And this is on the heels of also getting the jail administrator of this facility, which I am currently incarcerated in, on tape lying, saying that he didn't know about a particular problem here with a generator system that has caused toxicity levels within the facility to rise to unsafe levels without carbon monoxide detectors present within the facility. This is kind of a separate issue, but it does show the negligence of the people who have run this facility. And I have talked to several different attorneys about this, and a federal lawsuit is currently being filed against this facility for that. And in conjunction with, of course, Suzanne Wooten has a federal lawsuit against this facility, or against the different actors that have been involved in the judicial system. That includes the current governor, Greg Abbott, for his role as the Attorney General back when this initially took place with her about 8 years ago. And so trying to tie all this stuff together poses a unique set of challenge, particularly when I only have 15 minutes here, so bear with me. But essentially what we're doing is we're asking for your help to raise awareness about this issue. We're going to put a donate button down there because we need help for my defense in this case, because I have had my constitutional rights violated so egregiously that it really makes anybody who's concerned about these types of issues want to raise their brow and say, hey, what's really going on here? Because I'm simultaneously working with a group of attorneys and other law enforcement officials to get another name on the registry of these priests in Dallas that have been involved with child sex abuse. And this is a related issue and connected issue to all of the stuff that's going on with the rest of my case. And these guys in Collin County act like they're so willing to help a victim, and they want to do all this for these types of victims. Well, I'm currently involved with getting a man named Monsignor Camel on the credibly accused list. This is a huge topic. Nobody wants to look at hundreds of priests who have been involved in child sex abuse. Of course, we know that this is the case now. We've had major high-profile arrests really around the globe. We had the Pope's right-hand man arrested down in Australia for what they've called historic child sex abuse crimes, and all of this stuff is related. And here in Dallas, I was an altar boy in the mid to late 80s, and I served under a priest named Father Koss. That's K-O-S, and he has already been indicted and convicted of child sex crimes, and he was working with an individual that had direct responsibilities for the Pope. This is a man named Monsignor Camel, and to illustrate this web of how this stuff works and tie it back to the Vatican itself is pivotal for keeping these types of crimes to continue. And personally, it very much looks like, in my case, that I have been targeted as a result of coming forward about this information. And so for anybody to get their mind around just that one aspect of what I've just said, not only are we working to expose these judges, which you can go see these videos for yourself, this is all open source information, and they accused me of making derogatory comments against this judge when the only thing that I used very specifically, and for that reason where they couldn't say that, was because I used the open source information. I used things from the Dallas Morning News, from the McKinney paper, and online arrest records and so on to reference what has actually going on. And they've just continued to try to basically get me locked up, keep me in here, and God knows what they want to do to me by the time I get to court. And so what we need to do as we're looking for a change in venue, I do have some very good contacts in the legal world here as far as the attorneys go, and so we're looking to get into hiring me a good attorney, and just the First Amendment violations alone on my case are enough to get these things overturned. and we're going to really need some help with that. So if it's on your heart to donate today, I would please encourage you to do that. Your prayers are so important. Your support is important in any way possible. And I would like to extend myself. I am available to speak to you guys. If you want to speak to me while I'm here, I can do that. You can write to me and so on. And I want to try to keep this as short as possible because there's a lot of information here, and to tie it all together, again, is very difficult for me to do. And so we're going to put the links in the descriptions. What you're going to hear down there is me talking with federal law enforcement officers, and you can see the conflict of interest that I have with the county of Collin in that I'm talking to federal agents about corruption within Collin County as they're telling me, one of which is a man named Jeff Rich, who he states that they're going to forward the information that I've given them to the Public Corruption Office of the FBI. And this is about the prosecutors in this county. We've had a gross breach of attorney-client privilege here, which we're working with the state bar on, and other things. And these are the same people that want to prosecute me as, we're actively forwarding information to the places like the Public Corruption Office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So, we have seen places like the FBI become politicized themselves. We certainly don't want to see that here at the county level. And to be real honest, we're trying to flush these elements out from within the county governmental structure, all as it pertains all the way up to the state and federal level. And that's really what this is all about. And getting this done is a particularly pivotal place to be, and it's a particularly uncomfortable place for me to be as I'm sitting in jail right now with these people breathing down my neck as I'm forwarding information to people, essentially to get them prosecuted as well, or to at least hold them accountable for the things that they've done civilly. And so that is a situation which I think that nobody would want to find themselves in, and I think that that's the main reason why we were asking for your help. I'm a person who has done over 50 radio shows and put out a lot of different material, including documents that people have never seen elsewhere. Never once have I monetized the video or anything else. And, we've run ourselves into the ground on this case to the tune of over $50,000 we've spent on all the associated expenses with this case. And so it's time for us to come out and ask for help. I do have some great people that I want to go ahead and thank now. And you know who you are out there that are being able to get this information where it needs to go, to be able to donate, and to be able to stand with me on this and say, hey, something's going on here when a citizen comes and asks a district attorney for some help involving child sex crimes within a county, and he's maliciously prosecuted. They violate his probation, and they violate his constitutional rights. Something's going on there that's not proper. And again, this county has a history of doing this, and what it really amounts to is these people have been in power here for so long that they've become accustomed to basically being so brazen they can do whatever they want to do. And we're here to put a stop to this, and it's not going to be able to continue anymore. So I do have all the faith in that. I do feel very comfortable in one sense of I trust God, I trust my friends out there, I trust my people that I'm connected to work with me on this. And each one of these things that I've mentioned tonight has a talking point of at least an hour. We could go on and on about these different points that I'm making in a much more detailed fashion. I am willing to do that, and I am willing to work with other people in the community to be able to get this done, be it on the radio, or whether you're on television or whatever it is, because this story is huge. This is news right here. And when you tie it in with, tying an individual who had papal responsibility back to the Vatican with child sex crimes, and then being persecuted by a group of people while I'm working on that within county government, that doesn't make sense. This should not be happening in this fashion. So, hey, maybe there's some miscommunication and a misunderstanding on some levels of this. That's great. I'm here to work with anybody, whether they be in the DA's office, federal law enforcement, or what have you. And I'm not a law enforcement officer. I'm
1 minute remaining
in jail here as we've got 1 minute left. I'm somebody who has come forward about the abuse and the ways that these things have affected people in the community as people in positions of power have exploited and abused that power. This is about putting an end to that abuse of power. And so please stand with us. Please help us. Look down in that description for those links. And we're going to get this out there as soon as you can. Get it out there for us. Everybody who's working on this with me, I appreciate your help. I love you guys. And please continue your prayers and so on. And this story will continue to develop, and we will get me out of here. We will use this as an example to say, hey, these people have to stop doing this. They're going to stop the abuse of power. They're going to stop hurting these children. And so I love you guys. It's a unique place to be. Man, just please keep your prayers And I hope this makes sense. And forgive me if I have seemed uncouth at times while dealing with this situation. It's a particularly egregious situation to have to deal with. So, again, thanks, guys, and I'll talk to you guys and see you guys soon. Bye.